Welcome to this slow Vinyasa practice. This class is dedicated for those of you who are going through the process of loss and grieving. And some of you might be going through the process recently, and some of you might be going through this process for years. It could have been the loss of a spouse, of your pet, a good friend, a parent, the loss of losing your job, or any sort of loss that you are in the process of grieving. I just wanted to reassure you that there is no wrong or right way to process those emotions. And coming into a yoga practice could be one of the toughest decisions when you are in the process of grieving. Whether you feel you don't have the strength, whether you feel overwhelmed, whether you are not able to focus, it's all natural and it's all okay. So the fact that you're here today, it's a big step, and I honor that. So please take your time. If you need to adjust or modify your practice, do that in a way that feels the right choice for you. And we're gonna go and move slow, mindfully breathing, working through the whole body. And whatever emotions come into the practice, let it be. If you feel that you want to cry, you can cry. If you want to laugh, you want to laugh. There is no wrong or right way to feel. So let's go ahead and start in our comfortable seated for just a couple moments to help you, guide you as to arrive to this present moment. And so take a moment here to notice your seat and just feel the touch of whatever your hips are touching, whether it's your mat, a cushion, a blanket. And give yourself a moment to lengthen through the spine, growing nice and tall. And come back to your breath and notice the breath coming in and out of your nose on its own pace, gently, softly. And see if you can notice the sensation of the breath anywhere else in the body, whether it's your chest, maybe it's your belly. So as you inhale, tap into that sense of calm and peace. And as you exhale, release and embrace self-compassion and kindness to your experience in life right this moment. And just gently here, bring your awareness back into your heart center. And create a space to whatever emotions you might feel right now in the heart center. See if you can actually welcome that emotion with no judgment, without trying to deny it, without trying to hide it, and actually embrace it, feel it fully, whatever it is in your chest right this moment. And just knowing that thoughts and emotions are energy and movement. So as much as sometimes we identify ourselves with what we think or what we feel, I want you to know deep down you are bigger than all of this. You are pure energy of inner wisdom, inner peace. And that connection to the breath through your chest is the reminder of that pure source of energy that keeps this physical body alive. So take a couple more breaths. Familiarize yourself with your surroundings. Familiarize yourself with how you feel. And then in your next inhale, keep your eyes closed, reach the arms overhead. And give yourself a long stretch in here. You can interlace the fingers if that feels right. And stretching through the spine, and feel free to side bend to the right slightly. And then come back to center slowly and side bend to the left. So just bring in some movement to the spine. Take an inhale, come back to center. Keep your eyes closed, release the hands and twist your chest to the right. So one hand can be slightly back, slightly forward. And try to keep the crown of the head right above the hips. And notice how your heart is trying to point to the right. Relax the shoulders. One more breath in. And then as you exhale, undo that twist, center your chest, and continue rotating it to the left. And switch your hands for support. Just notice your lower back, the middle back. And then slowly bring your chest back to center, arms overhead once again, nice and tall through the spine. Reaching your fingertips as high up as you anchor down through your hips. And then as you exhale, release the chest forward and down, releasing the hands in front of you so you're seated with the drop in the chest towards the floor. And feel free to bring the chin to your chest so you feel that stretch in the lower back and the back of your neck. And slightly walking the hands to the right and stretching the left side of your torso and your spine as you drop the chest down and forward. And gently lift the head up, walk the hands to center and walk them all the way to the other side, all the way to the left. So we're trying to stretch the right side of your body now. And then slowly come back to center, nice and slow, and walk the hands to your body so you can lift the head and the chest. And now we're just gonna transfer into our back. So we're gonna hug the knees into our backs. We're gonna tap a little bit into the hips. It's a gentle way to do it when we are on our back. So feel free to have any props nearby, especially if you want a blanket for your neck. So hugging the knees into the chest, pressing the lower back. So right and left side of your hips feels equally pressing on the lower back. And as you gently rock side to side, you're feeling the body weight shifting from one side to the other. Good. And see if you can find your happy baby here. So we're gonna spread the knees wider than chest. Bring the hands in between the legs. And then as you grab the heels or your ankles, kick the heels up towards the ceiling. And try to keep the knees away from each other and continue maybe planting your sacrum into the ground as you gently rock side to side. Be mindful of any tension on your face or your shoulders. And use the exhale to help you soften that tension as you continue stretching your inner thighs. And then bring your knees back to center together. Let's do a little twist in here. With your knees together, let them drop all the way to the right and open your left arm. So you might have to puff the chest to roll the shoulder blades in, to rotate more from the rib cage. Your opposite hand, your right hand, can gently press those legs and knees a little bit more down to the right. And just breathing into the lower back. Nice, and then slowly bring those knees back to center. Give yourself a moment to feel the weight of your body on your lower back. And then when you're ready, it's all the way to the other side. So both knees to the left. And you gently open your right arm. See if you can anchor or ground your right shoulder. And as you lengthen through the sacrum, feel and breathe into the right hip stretch, your IT band of that top leg. One more breath in. And and then slowly exhale, come back up to center, hugging the knees once again into the chest. Just wrapping your arms and hugging yourself, bringing a lot of self-compassion as you navigate these difficult times in your life, and know that it's okay to feel whatever you might be feeling. And bring your hands behind your knees, and we're gonna rock back and forth to give the entire spine some nice momentum here, as long as you stay with your breath and gently engaging your core as well. Just moving gently, and then a couple more rounds. We're gonna find our way into our tabletop. Good, and then take your time there to transition into hands and knees. Once again, if you want padding, grab a blanket, right? You gotta adjust your knees, spreading the fingers wide, tucking your toes under. Find your alignment in there. Shoulders above the wrists and hips right above the knees. And then we're gonna come into cat-cow. So we'll start with cat. We're gonna drop the head, looking down to your thighs. Really pushing the floor away with your hands, your knees, and your toes. And as you inhale, start lifting your tailbone. And here you have to open your heart. It might feel kind of hard right now. You want to close your heart when you're in pain. But see if you can open it and relieve some of that grieving to create a space for peace. And then as you exhale, round and push in the head. And then inhale, open in the heart once again, and try to find some peace. And last round, exhale, round and push. Let the head feel heavy. And then as you inhale, slowly open in the heart. Give yourself a moment there. And then gently press your hips into your heels, keeping your toes under. So it's a variation of child's pose. So your knees are as wide as the hips. You're sitting on the heels, tucking the toes under. Walk the hands forward, fingertips, keep the elbows off the mat, and see if you can drop the forehead down into the floor. So here we're stretching the shoulders, we're also stretching the toes, and just letting the hips feel heavy towards the heels. Take a couple breaths in here. See if you can tap into that inner strength, even though you might not feel it. I know you're stronger inside. And then gently lift the head, lift the hips, and let's transfer into our first downward facing dog. So take your time there to lift the hips up and back. Adjust your standing, adjust your hands. And if you need to keep your knees bent for extra support for the hamstring, that's okay. Just make sure you're feeling mindfully grounding through your feet and your hands. You're welcome to walk the dog or lift the heels up and down a couple times. Just awakening the lower body and strengthening your upper body. Always imagine your hips has a magnet that is pulling you up towards the ceiling, so you feel equally the weight between your legs and your arms. Just a couple more breaths in here. Notice your shoulders, find relaxation, find engagement of the shoulders. Breathe in through the nose. Full on exhale through the nose. Good, and then gently wiggle your feet slightly back. We're gonna roll into our first plank. So coming to your plank, rocking forward into shoulders above the wrist. Maybe lower the pelvis slightly. And then lifting the hips up and back into downward facing dog. You're gonna have to adjust your feet, and that's okay. We're just gonna do that a couple more times. Take a deep inhale in your long downward facing dog. As you start exhaling, adjust to transfer into plank. Crown of the head towards the front of your mat. Maybe bring the gaze a little bit forward beyond the hands. And then exhale back to downward facing dog. Beautiful. Take one long inhale. Feel longer on your downward facing dog. As you start, notice that you come to an exhale, you start transferring into that plank again. Find your inner strength. Beautiful. Drop the knees down and slowly make your way down into your belly. Keep your hands as wide as the mat. Point your toes under, shoulders back and elbows back. Press your legs and hands. Lift the chest slightly up for your baby cobra. Bring the gaze slightly forward so you're still keeping the back of the neck on. Good, and then exhale, release the chest all the way down. Let's just try that a couple more times. When you're ready, press your feet, your legs, your palms, lift the chest, find your cobra or baby cobra. Lengthen through the sacrum so there is no much pain on the lower back. And exhale, release the chest all the way down. As you start inhaling deeply, slowly lift the chest. And exhale, release the chest down. Tuck your toes under and press back into your downward facing dog, nice and slow. A couple breaths and just notice if your body internal heat starts to build up. Just a gentle warm up before we go into our sun salutations. Let's just warm up the hips one more time. We're gonna do a three-legged dog with a twist. So walk your left foot in the center, middle, back of your mat so you can rise your right leg up and back. When you're ready, open your right hip and bend the top knee and squeeze that heel into your body. Keep transferring the weight from your hands back into that left leg. Good, and then extend and square your hips and change your left foot with your right. So your right foot is in the back center of the mat. Left foot reaches up and back, nice and tall. Open that left hip and bend that left knee as you drag the right heel down. Keep pushing through your hands equally. One more breath. And as you exhale, extend, square, back into downward facing dog. So adjust your feet as wide as the hips. Bend the knees, rise the heel, look forward. As you exhale for the first one, gently walk the feet to the top of your mat. And once you reach the top of your mat, find your first forward fold. So again, if you need to bend the knees, just make sure you're dropping the head, you're feeling the back of the neck, feeling stretch. The crown of the head feels heavy towards the floor. Rock gently forward and back so you feel the weight of your body from the center of the heel to your tippy toes. I want you to feel the body weight on your feet, so feel free to lift the toes off the mat and spread them wide as you bring them down to the mat. And then lift through the inner thigh and feel how the hips keep pulling you up as the head comes down. And then gently bring your hands above your knee, come halfway up to lengthen your spine. So here again, we're trying to open the heart, shoulder blades back. And then exhale, drop the head down once again, forward fold. On your next breath in, press your heels to the ground, lift the head, lift the chest, arms overhead, come all the way up to standing, reaching arms overhead. Touch your palm and look up at your thumb and see if you can grow a little bit taller as you neutralize the pelvis, pressing heels down. Exhale, swan dive, nice and slow, dropping the chest towards your thigh, crown of the head down. Inhale, lengthen, come halfway up. Feel strong on the upper back. Exhale, slowly release the head down to the floor. Inhale all the way up to standing. Savasana, touch your palms. Feel that length. Exhale, forward fold. Connect to your legs. Inhale, lengthen your spine, connecting to the spine. Exhale, forward fold again. Inhale all the way up to standing, so connecting to the legs as you reach the head high up. Exhale, release, forward fold again. Inhale, lengthen halfway up. So now we're getting into a rhythm. As you exhale, bend the knees, hands on the ground, low lunge, right foot gigantic step back, and drop your right knee to the ground. I want you to take one breath to find your alignment, just to feel and get familiar with the sensation of your right hip. And on your second breath, see if you can open the chest forward as you maybe walk the fingertips or your blocks a little bit back so you can lean the chest back, draw the belly in, and breathing into the hip flexion, extension here. One breath in. If you want to reach the arms overhead, trying to find your focus and balance and tap into that inner strength. This is a very symbolic pose in the grieving time. It's uncomfortable. You don't want to engage, but you have to find the strength so you don't collapse. Take one more breath in. As you exhale, release the hands down and let's step forward into Uttanasana. Nice and slow, drop in the head. Just shift your weight into right foot versus left foot, bending one knee at a time. So now we're stretching a little gentle on the outside of the hips. And we're just gonna do a low lunge on the other side. So when you're ready, bend both knees, hand on the ground, and gigantic step with your left foot to drop the knee on the floor. And rocking the pelvis forward until you bend the front knee on top of the heel. The first breath is always to adjust. Find your alignment, feel the body. And the second breath is to now get into a deeper awareness of where your body's at and how we can utilize the breath to help us find that peace, that center of calmness, stillness. And then you can reach the arms overhead to challenge your focus, to challenge your strength, and especially the balance. One more breath in. And then as you exhale, hands down on the ground, step forward, Uttanasana. And now we're just gonna add more pace to it, right? That was the first time. So again, bending one knee at a time, leaning into the other hips as you do that, as you stay in forward fold, keeping the legs strongly engaged. I'm just gonna do one low lunge on each side. Take a full breath in here and forward fold. As you exhale, kick your right foot back, drop the knee, inhale, reach your arms overhead. Stay here for a long exhale. One more inhale. Exhale, hands down, stepping forward. Breathe in here, forward fold. Bend one knee at a time, rocking side to side here. Find your center, inhale. And then as you exhale, kicking your left foot back, drop the knee, low lunge. Inhale, arms overhead. Stay here for a long exhale. One more breath in. And then exhale, hands down. And this time, let's step back into downward facing dog. So right foot back. Once again, just notice how the hips, perhaps they are feeling a little bit more spacious, a little bit more stretch. Take an inhale, walk your left foot in the center back of your mat and rise your right leg back, three-legged dog. Now we're just gonna come into our high lunge. So bring your right foot forward between the hands. And when you feel ready, slowly come all the way up to standing, arms overhead. So this high lunge is a little bit unusual because the back foot is in the center of the back of the mat. And your right foot may be slightly closer to the right side of your mat. But both toes are pointing forward, your sacrum drops, and the crown of the head is reaching tall. See if you can bend the front knee slightly more and lift the back heel and engage your back thigh. That's it, beautiful. Stay with me, one more breath. And then as you exhale, release your hands down and back. Interlace the fingers and then pull the knuckles down and open slightly the heart. One breath in, one breath out. And then slowly release the hands, drop them to the floor, step back into that downward facing dog. That's it. Stay here in downward facing dog. Adjust your feet, adjust your hands. Just notice and breathe. Let's go into the other side. So place your right foot in the back center of the mat and kick your left hand, your left leg, not your hand, your left leg high up for three-legged dog. And then as you start exhaling, bring it forward between the hands. Once you plant your foot there, as you start inhaling, come all the way up. Once you are all the way up, full on exhale. So once again, stretching the front of the pelvis, but now we're adding a little bit of strengthening of the legs. The core is strong. One more inhale. As you exhale, hands down and back. Roll the shoulder blades together. Interlace your fingers. Press the knuckles towards the floor to help you slightly open the chest. You can keep the gaze down on the floor or straight forward. This one is challenging your balance, so be mindful in not moving your gaze too fast. One more breath. And as you exhale, release the hands all the way down to the ground and step back into downward facing dog. Good. One full inhale. As you exhale, find your plank. Repetition, sometimes it's good to activate that muscle memory. And then you can take a slow vinyasa here with your knees up or your knees down as you come into Chaturanga Dandasana. And then open your heart and find your cobra or baby cobra. And then exhale, pressing back into downward facing dog. Beautiful. One breath in, one breath out. Good. Now, right there, your feet as wide as your hips, let's come into a three-legged dog. So we have done different variation of three-legged dog. Right leg reaches up and back. As you exhale, bring it forward between the hands. And this time coming to your first warrior one. So your left heel drops in slightly. And as you bend the front knee, slightly open the right knee to the right. Neutralize your right hip in the center of the mat. And as you plant your feet on the ground, lift your chest and arms above the head. So it's nice to take it slowly, to just kind of review and make sure we're doing things in a sustainable, mindful way. Now we're gonna come into the humble warrior. So once again, similar to what we did before, hands are gonna drop down and back to interlace, to bring the shoulder blades together, slightly open up the chest. So now what we're gonna do here, we're gonna drop our chest inside the front leg and see if you can rest your right shoulder on top of the right knee and bend the front knee slightly more. And let the crown of the head drop to the floor as you lift the knuckles up. And your gaze is looking at your left foot. So you're looking back. Hug the hips in the center, keep pressing your head down, lifting your arms up, and use opposite feet to drag you in separate directions. One more breath. And then as you exhale, release the hands and bring your right hand outside your right foot. Let's go into side angle. So your feet stays the same. Now you're rotating the chest to the left and reach your left hand above the head and forward. So that side angle, stretching the side of your torso as you keep bending that right knee. One more breath in here. Good, and then as you exhale, close the chest, drop the left hand down to the floor and step back into your plank, slowly right foot back. So you feel that right leg getting a lot of sensation. Take a slow, mindful vinyasa. You can drop the knees always if you need to. And as you inhale, you open your heart. Feel the stretch of your belly. As you exhale, back to downward facing dog, a couple breaths, just to settle in case your mind is active. Whatever their mind is, see if you can notice more the rhythm of your breath. See if you can anchor your awareness into your feet and your hands, feeling the ground underneath you. So that on the other side, when you're ready, left foot reaches up and back as you inhale. And then as you start exhaling, bring that left foot forward between the hands and slightly drop the right heel in. Left knee pointing towards the left, hips in the center, and then lift the chest and arms above the head for warrior one. So as much as you can from the shoulders, try to square the shoulders forward, but your hips are not going to be able to square. Anatomically, are not going to square because that back foot is slightly open. Drop the hands down to the floor and back and interlace your fingers to kind of slightly open the chest as you press the knuckles down to the ground. Keep bending the front knee. And then as you start exhaling, we're gonna drop the torso inside that front leg. Find that left knee to rest your left shoulder. Drop the head to look back and lift those knuckles as high up as you can. Remember to keep the knees in the hips in the center of the mat. One more breath. And then slowly as you exhale, release the hands, left hand outside your left foot. Open the chest to the right for that side angle. Right hand reaches up and above the head. Imagine your left hip is pushing you towards the center of the mat as you slightly open that left knee more towards the left arm. Beautiful. One more breath in here. And as you exhale, close your chest, right hand drops down and step back into your plank. Breathing in here. Front plank, drop into your forearms. And you can interlace your fingers and press the palms. Here the trick is to try to level the pelvis. Just a couple breaths. Push the floor away through the arms and the elbows. And then drop the knees, your thighs, your hips. Find your extremes, so pointing the toes back. And As you press the forearms into the ground, use that to help you draw the shoulder blades down and back. So your heart once again starting to remain open so you can find your inner peace. Lengthen through the sacrum, which means that imagine your sacrum is trying to point towards the heels. It's going to minimize any compression of the lower back. One more breath. Good, and now we're gonna go backwards. We're gonna close the chest to puff the shoulder blades, tuck the toes under, and gently we're gonna lift 1 knee at a time, and then pressing the hips high up. Just a couple breaths. Inhale, exhale, inhale. As you exhale, transfer plank, right hand, left arm, and back into downward facing dog. You made it. That's all good. Breathing in, breathing out. One more breath. One exhale. Three-legged dog on the right, right leg up and back. Let's come into lizard, so that right hand is going to be inside that right foot coming forward. So your right foot can be outside your mat, and keep the back leg lifted and use your hands to create a little bit of support of the hips. You're welcome to kind of rock back and forth slightly to just kind of minimize and bring in some movement joints also on the wrists. Take one more inhale. Now from here, we're gonna come into side tripod plank. So open your right toes slightly 90-degree out to the side, so toes and knee pointing out. Roll and pivot the back heel so you're pressing through the edge of your left foot. You can walk the right foot in the center, and then you're gonna open your chest to the right arm reaches up. So relax that left shoulder. Good, and then close this. Step back into your downward facing dog. There is no graceful way to go back into downward facing dog from that. And just notice, we're just adding a little bit of strength. It can be hard if you haven't been in your mat for a while. So this is just to help you tap into your inner strength and to drain whatever you might feel to let go. Let's try that on the other side. Take an inhale, left foot up and back, three-legged dog. And then as you exhale, your high lizard, so your left foot outside your mat, next to your left hand. And your hands are right under the shoulders. And if your wrists are sensitive, come into your fists. Gently rock back and forth. Just kind of soothing. And as we come in a tripod plank, let's do that very slowly again. Open your left toes and knee to the outside and walk that foot into the center of the mat. And then pivot your right heel so you're pressing through the edge of your right foot. Once you're there, open the chest to the left and bring your left hand up. You can keep the gaze down. You can bring the gaze forward or up towards the ceiling. There's different sensations, so choose which one feels best. And then close that top hand and back into our downward facing dog. Deep inhale. Long exhale. Let's do our last vinyasa before we start to cool down. Roll into your plank, inhale. Feel how stronger you might be. Feeling on the arms. Find your Chaturanga Dandasana, knees down or not. And then open the heart. Breathe into this sensation. And then exhale here, press into your child's pose, any variation that feels right to you. Knees together, knees apart, hands forward, hands backwards. This is your child's pose. And just take a moment here to process. Especially the energy is the one that I'm more interested. Notice your energy. There is no wrong or right way to feel. All we want is to become aware of that feeling so we can enhance it and embrace it with compassion. Feeling sadness, feeling depressed, feeling lost, confused, overwhelmed, feeling sorrow, feeling unsafe. All of those feelings are extremely valid. Don't feel shame for them. Just know that they will pass. And just one more inhale. Long exhale. Good. Gently find your way all the way up as you walk the hands. And we're gonna come into Upavishta Konasana. I think it's gonna feel good to release the legs. So as you find you're seated, we're gonna spread the legs out to the side. And here is, in my case, it feels always better when I'm sitting on a blanket. But if you're seated on the mat, it's okay. Just make sure it feels right. We wanna tilt the pelvis slightly forward. And you can face the wider side of your mat or not, it's up to you. Keep the toes and the knees pointing straight up towards the ceiling. And as you kind of tilt the pelvis slightly forward, walk the hands and kind of drop the chest slightly forward. Once again, it will be up to your body boundaries, how deep you want the chest to drop or how intense you want that inner thigh stretch to be. And also you might be stretching a little bit of the spine as you drop the head or the chest down. Try to anchor through the heels and try to keep a slightly bend of the knees. And just breathing into this deep stretch of the different muscles in the back of your legs, your hamstrings and the inner thigh. See if you can use your exhales to settle and ground yourself here with a sense of calmness. And then see if you can slowly walk your hands to the right. And then open the chest away from the right leg and reach your left hand above the head and your side bending towards the right leg with your chest pointing up towards the sky. Once again, we just want to move energy. We just want to activate movement to help us just move emotions and thought patterns. Close the chest down, almost again like you are side bending, twisting to the right. And then walk the hands slowly to center. Keep the chest facing down as you walk the hands to the left. I want you to breathe onto the right side, lower back of your spine. And then open the chest away from that left leg towards the sky, right arm above the head for that side stretch. Let the weight of the spine and the head feel heavy towards that leg. And then close the chest here back into facing that left leg. And then slowly walk the Hands back to center, and then lift the chest all the way up. Bring your hands under the knees so you can bend them and come into Baddha Konasana. So now we're doing the opposite. We're bringing our feet together. You can settle on the pelvis and gently dropping the knees away from each other. You can keep the feet really pressing into each other, all the toes, or you can open them like a book. It's up to you what feels more enjoyable, and you can explore. If your feet are together, really pressing into each other, you're gonna feel more engagement of the inner thigh. If your feet are open like a book, you might feel it more on the outside of your ankle joints. So just stay here for a couple breaths. Calming, relaxing, embracing the present moment with everything that it is. Good, and then gently bring your hands under your knees and we're gonna close them in. Good, we're gonna come into our backs for a supine pigeon on the right. So, as you drop the spine on the back, cross your right leg on top of the left thigh. Right leg on top of the left, yes. And then slowly hop that left knee in. And with your right hand, gently press your right leg forward. Bring awareness into the lower back and make sure the lower back is present on the floor. Relax the chest, the shoulders, your face, and flex the feet. Breathing in gently through the nose. Breathing out. One more breath in. Good, and then uncross the legs and kick them all the way up towards the ceiling. Point and flex your feet, maybe moving the feet in circles. Just lubrication to the ankle joints and also to minimize stress on the legs. Do pigeon on the other side. Cross your left on top of the right and hop the right knee in. Gently press your left knee forward. Flex your feet and just breathe in through the lower back, outer hip and shoulders. Notice that gentle breath in and out of your nose. Just let your breath continue to help you to stay anchored. Find your inner peace. One more breath in. And then as you exhale, undo the legs and rest the feet on the ground and open your feet as wide as your mat. Reach the arms overhead and rest the elbows slightly bent on the floor. And we're gonna move the knees like a windshield wiper, so all the way to the right. Press your left hip forward, so you're stretching once again the front of that left hip. And then bring the knees up and drop them all the way to the left, pressing your right hip up and more towards the left. And feel free to move side to side a couple more times on your own. Just breathing into the lower back, both shoulders and chest that are anchored to the ground. The hips connects the upper body with the lower body, so that's why sometimes they feel more intense sensations. Good, and once you're done with your rounds, find your way to come into bridge pose. So feet and knees as wide as your hips, hands at your side. We're gonna do a variation of bridge. When we lift the hips up, we're gonna reach the arms overhead. And when we bring the hips down, we're gonna bring the arms by our side. And we're just gonna do that 5 times. So you gotta anchor yourself through the heels and the shoulders. So feel free to puff the chest and roll the shoulder blades in. So the top of the shoulders are a little bit closer to the mat. The back of your neck slightly curved. And keep the gaze forward towards your knees. When you're ready, take an inhale, plant your heels down, lifting the hips and the arms overhead. And then slowly exhale, arms down, hips down. Good, we have 4 more rounds. Inhale, lifting the hips as high as you can. Squeeze the inner thigh, arms overhead. Exhale, slowly bring your hips and arms down. Inhale, slowly up. Exhale, slowly down. Nice. Inhale, lifting hips and arms overhead. Exhale, hips down, arms by your side. Inhale, lift. Exhale, slowly down, and we have 1 more to go. Last one, you're doing great. Inhale, lift. Lifting the hips a little higher, arms reaching back. And then exhale, release the hands down, hips down. Hug your knees to your chest. Move them in circles so you can feel the lower back in all pressure points with your body weight. And switch direction as you move the knees in circles. Good. And now we're going to stretch the legs right in front of you for a brief Savasana. So you've done amazing today, regardless of how long has it been since your last practice. We've done lots of movement. We have moved energy through their spine. We have activated muscles. We have breathed with mindfulness. So give yourself a permission to allow, to feel and embrace the end of your asana practice. As you rest your legs, your hips, your shoulders, and your arms, softening your face, letting the weight of the head feel heavy on the ground. I want you to embrace that energetic feel that you are. Sometimes when we feel emotions so intense, that vibration can feel overwhelmed. So movement through yoga practice can help balance. But sometimes it's not enough because there is so much intention emotions that with one practice, we're not gonna find full balance, but we're able to acknowledge the unbalance. We are able to enjoy a little sensation of peace as we breathe. So I'm going to give you a full minute of full silence for you to digest, explore with kindness the sensation of your practice in your whole being. very slowly come back to your breath in a deeper way. Start noticing your surroundings, your body weight. Feel free to move your feet and wrists in circles as you move your toes and your fingers. And when you feel ready, reach the arms overhead and give yourself another good warming stretch, welcoming the new day. Refresh. And as you exhale, once again, knees into the chest. You're safe, you're strong, you're loved. Gently rock side to side. And find your way all the way to the right. Use your right arm as a pillow. Keep your eyes closed. Embracing a movement of slow down and stillness. So you can acknowledge with more awareness how you feel and be okay with whatever might be. Press your hand into the ground, slowly lift yourself, come all the way up. Just find your comfortable seated position as we are going to end the practice. Relaxing the legs, lengthening through the spine, arms resting by your side. Bring your right hand into your heart center. I want you to do the best you can to feel your breath or even your heart. I know sometimes during grieving time, you might feel that you don't have the strength to go on. But I want you to remember that you have a heart beating and you have a breath going on for you, keeping you alive. Breathing in strength, breathing out compassion. Keeping your loved ones in your memories is a good way to remind yourself that they still live with you, within you. Slowing down and taking all the time you need to figure it out what it is that you need to do in these times is completely okay. Not knowing the answers of everything is okay. Take one breath at a time and one day at a time. Practice lots of kindness and compassion as you go through this. Bring your palms together in the center of your heart with a gentle reverence to close the practice, to honor your pain and to honor your loved ones, always living within you through your great memories. Deep inhale through the nose and full exhale through the mouth if that feels right. Infinite gratitude for practicing with me and from coming back to your practice. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I truly hope this practice gives you lots of awareness in your peace. See you soon.